Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Stogie Review Short Ashes. I am Walt White, and I'm doing a little bit of slacking today. Today is Friday, my normal long review, and I got a little sidetracked earlier today, and since Wednesday is usually my full-blown review day, everything got shifted about 2 hours, so I've got time to do a short Ashes right now, and hopefully have you a full review up by Saturday, and just do a little flip-flop. Now, the review that I'm doing is on a cigar that's been sitting in my humidor for quite some time. Actually, the review I did was way back in January of 2007, and that is the Jericho by Camacho Cigars. If I can get it to focus. Of course not. Why would it focus? Maybe after I take the cellophane off. At any rate, at one point in time I used to label my cigars and put all the information on the back. And again, I'm depending on the... There we go. I used to put all the information about the cigar on a return address label, stick it on the cellophane, and then in my humidor it went. In this case, obviously I have the Camacho, or the Jericho by Camacho, the Robusto, the size 5x50. And the date that it actually hit my humidor, in this case, was December 29th, 2006. So this has been sitting around a little while. But don't fear if it turns out to be a good cigar. You can still get these from Cigars International. At least I remember seeing them not all that long ago. And actually these cigars came from Cigar Bid, and I think I got a private auction email letter or something like that, and I think I wound up getting a 15 pack or something for about $30. Now, from what I understand, this is an older brand. This line of cigars has been around a little while, but a few years back it was purchased by Camacho, reblended, and it hit the market once again. Now, I don't know whether it's a Cigars International exclusive, or if I don't know, if they're just bulk buying it and no one else is touching the brand for whatever reason. But I've only ever seen it on Cigar Bid and Cigars International, and it's a Camacho product. And when I got these cigars, I was pretty big into Camacho product, as I still am. So I was very interested to check it out and see if I could find an inexpensive alternative to, like, the Corojo line and the SLR line, which at that point in time I liked quite a bit, as well as the Coyalar. So it's been a few years, so let's see if the Jericho stacks up to what it used to be, or at least what I remembered it to be. I went ahead and used my cigar scissors to open up the head of the cigar. It was kind of dry and a little flaky. It's been in 65% cooler since, well, December of '06, and it's got a little bit of a dry appearance to it. The wrapper is chipping a little bit. There's some discoloration. There's a couple of big veins, actually 3 of them, that sort of give it that stitched appearance. They're raised quite a bit, add a lot of texture. Some discoloration head to foot. You know, it's actually darker down toward the foot, and the wrapper leaf just gets lighter as it goes up the cigar. The aroma, it's got like a real deep, earthy, sort of a caramel nose to it. So far it smells pretty good. The draw is free, very little resistance, if any at all. I'm not getting much in terms of pre-light flavor, but it's pretty good. Now I'm afraid to really push on the cigar because of the large veins, a little bit of chipping that I've got going on. Now, it's properly humidified. The wrapper leaf feels like it's got some elasticity to it, so I'm not worried about cracking it. I'm just worried about popping one of the veins free. But as I'm just kind of being gentle with it, the cigar feels evenly filled with tobacco. You know, I'm not getting anything in terms of a soft spot or a particularly hard spot. So I'm going to go ahead and light my cigar, and once I get that done, I'll be back and look at the first third of the Jericho by Camacho and see how this thing goes. So sit tight. Well, welcome back. I'm still plugging away on my Jericho by Camacho. Now, I remember the first time I had this cigar, and I remember doing the video, taking the first couple of puffs and just feeling like I got smacked in the face by a full-bodied, full-strength cigar. And I didn't care for the aggressiveness of it. And, I totally expected the cigar to mellow out, having sat for a few years now. But it really hasn't mellowed out too much. I mean, it's not quite as robust as I remember, but since having this cigar, I've sort of tempered my palate with lots of other full-bodied cigars. So it could be a matter of I'm just accustomed to this type of body. But it's got a little bit of a harshness to it. I mean, it's possible that that initial sort of whack that I was getting from the cigar was a little bit of harshness blended in. And it's possible that the cigar's got even less harshness now that it's been sitting for so long. But the cigar is very aggressive to start. It's kind of harsh. I'm a little disappointed in the way it's going. I really expected a cigar with smoother edges, It's full-bodied to start. It's got a dry finish. The flavors are sort of like the way dry wood smells when it burns. It's got a woody, a very dry sort of aroma to it, and this cigar is giving me the same profile. And it's difficult for me to explain this sort of dry taste. I don't mean it's drying out drying the mouth like I do with the finish. It's difficult. Some flavors just taste really wet and earthy and deep. This tastes dry and woody, and that's really the best way I can put it. I'm not quite sure how to explain it other than it has a dry taste, and that taste is separate from the dry finish. It's actually feeling as though it's drying me out. Now, I'm having a little bit of difficulty keeping it lit, and I haven't been ignoring it too much. I mean, it's the type of smoker I am. Cigars tend to spend a little bit of time in the ashtray, but this one requires touch-ups every now and again just to get it going again. And it's possible it could be just lots of Laro in there, but it's taking a little bit of effort to keep everything burning properly. As you can see, the burn line is fairly even. There's a little bit of wave to it, but it's not out of control. There's a tiny little bit of blistering going on at the burn line, but again, it's not something I'm concerned about. It's not out of control. So all in all, it's burning well. It provides a good volume of smoke that's dense. That sort of dense, heavy smoke is easy to get through the sinuses, and as soon as you retrohale it through the sinuses, it tastes even more dry and woody. So all in all, that's the flavor profile. I'm not overly impressed with it so far. It's not an exciting cigar. It's a cigar nonetheless. I'm not. Well, we'll wait until we can finish with the cigar before I start giving you my opinion of it. But I'm getting pretty close to the second third, so give me a few more minutes. I'll smoke a little bit more, and I'll be back. We'll take a look at the second third and see how the Jericho by Camacho develops. Well, welcome back. I'm still plugging along on my Jericho by Camacho, and the cigar's beginning to change up a little bit. The body seems to be picking up a little bit. It's still full-bodied. It's not over the top. Finish is transitioning away from that dry feeling that I was getting, and it's leaving me with more of a thick, filmy sort of feeling on the palate. Flavors, on the other hand, are they haven't taken a turn for the best. It's beginning to taste a little dirty. I'm still getting mostly a woody flavor. It still has a dry, woody flavor to it, while the finish is transitioning. So it's definitely a dry taste, if that makes any sense. It's beginning to taste a little dirty, and actually the cigar's got a bit of a funk to it. It does not smell very appealing at this point. The resting smoke has turned pretty unpleasant. It still requires me to pay more attention to it to keep it lit and burning properly. The draw is good. I'm still getting lots of smoke. It's nice and dense, easy to get through the sinuses. The ash itself is fairly dark. It's very compact. It's strong. It takes a good firm tap to knock it off into the ashtray. As soon as it pops off the cigar and lands in the ashtray, it stays in one solid piece. So it's nice, strong ash. Aesthetically, the cigar looks pretty good. There's a little bit of blistering under the burn line. It's still marginally straight. You know, there's not a whole lot of waviness to it. I mean, it's minor, but it's well within reason. So, you know, the wrapper itself doesn't look very appealing, but the way it's burning looks pretty good. The way it's burning is pretty good. The smoke rate seems, or the burn rate, I should say, seems about average for this size cigar. Resting smoke is light, although it's getting kind of offensive. And the cigar is just starting to turn to more of a dirty taste than anything else. There's not a whole lot to say other than that, so sit tight. I'm gonna take another quick break. I'll be back. We'll do the final third, wrap up the Jericho by Camacho, and just see how it turns out overall. So sit tight. Alright, well, it's about time to wrap up the Jericho by Camacho, and there's been another transition throughout the cigar. That dirty taste that I was getting before, it's subsided, and I'm getting sort of a metallic aftertaste. It's not quite as bad as that dirty taste was, but on that long, drawn-out finish, I'm getting a bit of a metallic taste that is very unappealing. To sort of wash it away, I'm taking another puff on the cigar fairly quickly. As a result, it's getting a little warm, and the cigar is getting a little harsh. As far as the body's concerned, it's full. It's not over the top. It doesn't compare to some of the other full-bodied cigars I've had. Actually, I don't even think it compares to like the Camacho Corojo Maduro, the SLR Maduro, and the Camacho Coilar. I think those three cigars are much more full-bodied, full-flavored, more pronounced. This one, I think, my first shot with this cigar way back a few years ago, I think it may have been a result of underaging and just a lot of nicotine and just an aggressiveness about the cigar that was very unappealing. You know, some of those rough edges seem to have been smoothed out since then, you know, with the age, but you know, it's not a very exciting cigar. It's burning very well, as I had mentioned before. I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's performing well. The flavors are okay. I'm still getting a very rich, now I'm getting a richer woody flavor, but it's still got a sort of a dry taste. Again, just like you know, the way dry firewood smells when you burn it, that's sort of the flavor profile I'm getting out of the cigar. Not a whole lot else. Maybe a little bit of pepper through the sinuses, but really hardly anything at all. And hardly anything at all as in a variation from that woody flavor. Finish is a little creamier. It's a little more drawn out, but again, along with that drawn out finish, I'm getting a metallic aftertaste. So, you know, all in all, I think it's a decent cigar for $2. Or for the $2 I paid for the, you know, I think I paid about $30 for 15 cigars or something like that. You break that down, $2 per cigar. It's okay. It's not phenomenal. It's middle of the road. It's a decent cigar. Performs well. The flavor's okay. I wouldn't run out and go buy these right now or seek them out in the future. But you know, it's like that old saying goes: what do you get if you age cheap wine? You get old cheap wine. Here I've got a cigar that's been sitting for a few years. It's a little smoother, but it's an inexpensive cigar, and it's just sort of middle of the road. It's not exciting. There's nothing overly attractive about it. It's a solid cigar. That's the best way to put it. It's just a decent cigar. I'm not quite sure how I want to word it. It's not impressive. It's not bad. It's you know, it's a cigar you pick up when your mind is occupied or your hands are busy. You just want something to smoke along with. You know, this is something you'll pick up and it makes a good yard gar, quote unquote. So there you have it. Before I get out of here, I was actually just killing a little bit of time in between segments, and I got to watching Cuisine review and a Arganese double wrap review over at The World According to Stu. I'll try to remember to drop a link at the bottom of this article. If you haven't checked out Stu's recent video reviews, you should definitely check that out. Yesterday I watched Chuck's review of, I think it was an Esther Miranda special selection. He also did a video review from Nice Tight Ash. Check him out. And there are a handful of other blogs that I've actually been reading a little bit here and there. One of which is actually Casting for Cohibas. There was a review of La Aroma de Cuba that I thought was pretty good. I've been bouncing around a little bit. You know, I've got a massive list in my feed reader, and those are just some of the ones that sort of grabbed my attention over the past week or two. And if you haven't checked them out yet, definitely give them a shot. Again, this review is done because I had some stuff to do today, and that's why you're getting a short ashes on a Friday. Look for a much longer standard review come Saturday, tomorrow. And until next week, happy smoking.